So for our project, we are talking about the Fibonacci sequence. To start off, we're going to define what the Fibonacci sequence is. The Fibonacci sequence is a series of numbers where each number is the sum of the two numbers above. So we're going to start with two numbers, both being 1, and then we are going to add 1 plus 1 to create our third entry, which is 2. And you follow that pattern, which is 2 plus 1 equals 3, 3 plus 2 equals 5, 5 plus 3 equals 8, 8 plus 5 equals 13, and so on. You can continue this pattern for as long as you'd like to create the Fibonacci sequence. Our main question throughout this project is, why does the Fibonacci sequence create the golden spiral? This question came about because me and my partner always wondered why it worked and how it specifically is created. So throughout the rest of this video, we will show you how the numbers in the sequence work to create the golden spiral. So here we have an example of what the golden spiral and the Fibonacci sequence look like. I use the hide and show buttons for each individual section of the spiral in each individual square.
We start off by showing you how to construct a square tool. You remove the axis, you remove the grids. You then want to build a segment with point A and B. Construct a perpendicular line with point B and segment AB. And then make a circle with center point A with the radius of segment AB. You then want to place a point on your perpendicular line. Construct a parallel line from point C to segment AB. Make sure that your parallel line falls directly on top of your circle. So move it around if you need to. Construct a parallel line using point A and segment AB. You then want to build a polygon using your polygon constructor tool. Select all 4 points. Then customize your square however you feel like you see fit. You then want to hide all of your unnecessary things. For example, your parallel line, your circle, and your perpendicular lines. Go to your settings button at the top right corner and click on your tools option. Click on create new tool. Then click on the down button and look for your quadrilateral. Then, after you click on your quadrilateral, you make sure that your input objects are point A and B. Choose a name for your tool and then make sure to add a command on your tool help section. For example, by selecting 2 points, just select 2 points. Finally, make sure to save your tool by going to Manage Tools, click on your tool, then click on Save As. Select a name for your tool, and then click Save. You can then add your grid and your axis back and test your new tool.
We are now going to create the golden spiral with the square tool we just used. So first, start off with your square tool and make a square that is 1 unit by 1 unit long. This represents the number 1 in our Fibonacci sequence. We are then going to make another square that is 1 unit by 1 unit because that represents the second one that follows in the sequence. We know that 1 plus 1 equals 2, so now we're going to make a square that is 2 units by 2 units. Following along with the Fibonacci sequence pattern, we are now going to know that 2 plus 1 equals 3, so we're going to make a square that is 3 by 3 units. Following that square, we're going to make a 5 by 5 unit square because 3 plus 2 equals 5. We are now going to create the 8 by 8 square following the pattern of 5 plus 3. We're only going to take this pattern up to 8 so that way the spiral fits on our page. Next, we're going to create the arcs by selecting the circular arc tool from our tools menu. This tool has you click the center point and then the 2 outer points to create the arc. So we're going to click the center point of our 1 unit square and go from D to B. We're then going to repeat that by using the center L and go from B all the way out to E. Next, we're going to find the center of our 2 unit square, which is D, and we're going to go from E to F, creating the arc. You're going to repeat this pattern all the way around by using now the 3 unit square of selecting the middle and the 2 outer points. It is also important to note that while making the squares and the spiral, you want to go in a counterclockwise formation. This way you know exactly how to create the squares in the pattern to form the perfect spiral.
We will now construct our spiral by going from the outer square to the inner squares. So start by making off a square. Then you want to make a midpoint by finding the midpoint between your 2 new points. Go from your midpoint to the right top corner of your square by constructing a line segment. Now create a circle by selecting your circle constructive tool and make your radius PQ. You now create a line with point O and put your next point on your circle. Now construct a perpendicular line using point R and your new line. You want to then make a circle with radius OR. Put a point at the top of your circle and your perpendicular line. Then you're going to create a parallel line from your new point to line J. You will now create line segments for your new square so that you are able to hide all of your parallel lines and your perpendicular lines at the end. You're now going to make a line segment with point O through line L. Now create a line segment from point O to U and create a circle with center point U and a radius of segment US. Put a point at the edge of your circle. From that new point, you then make a parallel line using the point you just created and line L. The reason we create these circles and perpendiculars / parallel lines is to find the proportion between each square. You now want to hide all of the unnecessary things, like your circle and your line segment. We cannot construct our spiral by going from the outside square to the inside square using the same method that we did on the previous example.
We decided to show you these two different methods, one being creating the spiral from the inside out and the other being from the outside in, to show you that there are multiple ways of creating the golden spiral. The cool thing about the Fibonacci sequence and the golden spiral is that spirals have a fixed proportion that determine their shape. The proportion that the golden spiral stems off of is the same as the Fibonacci sequence proportion, and it equivalates to about 1.618. We determine the proportions of the Fibonacci sequence by dividing the two numbers ahead of each other in the system. 1 divided by 1 is 1, 2 divided by 1 is 2, 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, and so on. You continue this pattern all the way throughout the sequence, and you realize that it only equivalates to about 1.618. So that is why we have came to the conclusion that the Fibonacci sequence creates the golden spiral. We hope this video helped you learn a little bit more about the Fibonacci sequence. Thanks for watching!